Good morning. Good morning. I found my favorite hoodie, so I've put it on. Obviously, it's a bit ripped. It says "Reach the Summit." A reef knot. Well, it's actually not a reef knot, but it's enough. It's a, I don't know. It's a knot. It says "Reach the Summit." And it has on this arm, it has carabiner, a compass, and a rock hammer. Which always reminds me of the Shawshank Redemption, because it looks like the rock hammer that he breaks out of Shawshank with. Now, this is called, the video this morning is called E ? And it's meant to invoke question mark, or the question of what is E? What is E? In e-safety? Well, it's electricity, isn't it? It's not internet, because internet starts with I or www or, yeah. So it must be electricity. Email, electric mail, electricity mail. We've got to understand all the things before we do anything. Understand that obviously if there was email before that, there was normal physical mail, envelopes, post offices, things like that. And so if there is e-safety, we have to think of what type of safety was there before E. And then we have to ask, what is safety? And the problem is, like, already we're actually right now, as I'm saying this, because I'm the one invoking it, we're in quite possibly what is the highest level existential crisis that humanity may ever face, is answering these couple of questions that I'm asking. And really, before we get to that, is answering why haven't I received any answers yet from any of these organizations claiming authority in something such as e-safety? And what is the precedent that we're using to establish what safety means? You know, if 20 years ago a bunch of microwaves started gang raping women and filming them, I'd say we would have fucking thrown those microwaves out and said, well, I don't know how that happened. We can't have microwaves and refrigerators gang raping women and filming them and then profiting from their abuse. I don't know whether rape is a safety issue. I would say it is. I would say that women don't feel safe when they're living in an environment filled with images of women getting raped, no matter whether that is electronic or whether it's not. So where are we as far as e-safety goes? Whose safety? Or should I say, what's safety? Because by my calculations, the fact that I've not received adequate reply or response, that there is massive legislation and policy pushing forward now to restrict anyone's ability to do what I'm doing. So this is like, you have failed to adequately respond to my legitimate concerns and accusations of the Australian government. Your claim of e-safety is fraudulent because you are not doing anything. And my only assumption is that the safety that you are speaking of has nothing to do with the Australian population or its people or or its well-being or anything like this. You're concerned of the safety of people in other countries' finances, financial situation. It can be the only reason. All I've done is, instead of putting a stamp on an envelope, and really I haven't even used the written word that you would use in a letter. I've directly appeared in front of you all electronically, and I haven't raped any of you. Yet I'm getting treated as a homeless person smashing my head through an ambulance window. I'm being gawked at and gossiped about and ignored. It's really weird, the whole thing. Especially when you start thinking, my computer runs on electricity. I plug it into the electricity. It's not necessarily electricity that's getting this to you, but it's close enough. So there is an electronic, projection of what I'm actually doing in reality. Because look, I can pinch myself and it hurts. But I'm using the infrastructure of electricity to get this message to where it needs to get to. Now, what type of message is this sending? If this level of accusation, this level of attempted dialogue, which is completely legitimate, I'm receiving political material via his electric whatever. I've received the majority of my financial remuneration from jobs and from, I don't know, employment, and I've paid tax electronic. I've paid. So we're in an infrastructure. As an NBN truck drives past me, that can't be coincidence, can it? That can't be a coincidence that I'm speaking of this as a service truck drives past. So you've built an infrastructure in electricity under the false claim of advancement of providing a superior service, but you've really built a prison. And from this prison, you are expecting to what? What is the next step that you're expecting to do? What is E? And what makes you assume that we weren't already in something like that? That's really the big one, isn't it? Why would anyone do all the things that I've done? How would anyone do all the things that I've done? How do you every day when it lands on your desk? Is it landing on your desk? Whose desk is it landing? But what is E? What is E? What is electricity? Now, was the NBN, what was that running through? Let me see. Was it running through fiber optic? Is that running through glass? So we have a democracy falsely being projected through an imported glass infrastructure, whilst restricting my business in developing a sustainable production of glass, utilising the resources within walking distance of my property that I own. But what is E? Is it the electricity that is being used to transmit this, or is it going through glass? Is it optically being transmitted? Yes, I'm using electricity to charge my phone, but this is like charging up a taser. Is it? It's not a you don't. It's not an e-safety issue if somebody tasers somebody to death, or is it? In that case, I'll go and taser my children's stepfather to death in his front yard. If it's just a simple matter of an e-safety thing, I'll just say, I thought I was playing Fortnite. It was the electricity that done it, sir. It weren't me. What type of precedent have you done here by ignoring me, by gaslighting me into not existing? I don't exist. So if I was not, completely in control of all my outward activities, like that could send someone from crazy. I could act up and fucking, murder people and kill people. And then do a dance like on Fortnite. What are you building here? It's not e-safety. These are the largest, philosophical questions really that I've ever encountered in my, intense studies. And what is this ultimate capacity, this ultimate power being used for? It's being used to do access attack strategies in a financial paradigm to negatively impact the successful networks and to attempt to elevate another tier, a lower tier of competitors. But that doesn't do anything. It's like this, I'm not programming a individualized algorithm to brainwash children and lure them into, a parasocial economic extraction industry. That's not what I'm doing. I'm trying to have legitimate political dialogue with the people that are claiming to be governing over me. And I'm doing that through the material that I have specialized in, that I am at the highest level achievable in understanding that material, which is glass. You can imagine it like, I know it doesn't actually work like this, but imagine it's like talking through a bit of conduit, like a tube. I am indeed on the other end. I can guarantee you. But what are you doing there? What are you doing? So you're kind of projecting a kaleidoscope and using infrastructure of that level and projecting a kaleidoscope is really fucking dangerous. If you applied this, imagine you turn on the electricity and instead of electricity coming out of it, like poisonous gas comes out of it. Or the same with your water supply. So why are you concerning yourself with supposedly restricting the flow of poisonous gas? Why aren't you establishing why it really is that someone as incompetent and unqualified for positions that you claim to hold is overseeing a humanitarian crisis at this level? And why ignoring daily and torturing and tormenting and stolen children and imprisoned and destroyed, destroyed businesses, all these things of an industry professional with ties to the formation of this country and its predecessor in England. Why are you doing all of this? And how really do you think this is going to end? Those cables are very fragile. There has never been an overseeing financial entity that has attempted anything like this, because I think if you're on the inside of that game, if you understand in the ancient sense what is actually going on in the, in the banking industry, if you want to call it that, these current manifestations, even if you think of the big four banks of Australia, these aren't the big four banks of the world. These are like four entitled college dropouts slinging fucking filth on the backing of an industry that is exposing itself, or on the backing of a governmental organization that is exposing itself as building a concentration camp. When I say that I'm in a concentration camp, I'm not lying. You are building a concentration camp. Yes, it's more sophisticated than the concentration camps of World War II, but it is a concentration camp. And its sophistication is just making it slip under the radar of perception. But for how long do you really think you're going to... See, the problem is you've already done it. You've already done it. I'm telling you daily, not just now, not just on the 8th of December at 11:01. Isn't that funny? The 8th of December at 11:01. Not just now, but I was telling you last year at the 8th of December at 11:02. I was telling you, 2024. I was telling you at the 8th of December, 2023 at 11:02. And I was telling you at the 8th of December at 11:03, 2022. On your own infrastructure. So provably you have an inbox filled with requests that are unanswered, whilst overseeing an infrastructure that pays every Australian citizen, or it is the lifeline for every Australian citizen. Look what happened to Optus when it missed 3 000 calls. The people's family photos, people's entire lives are held on this infrastructure. This precedent means that on the day of exposure, which seems to be today, in a joint defensive operation of the United Kingdom, the restored and liberated United States under the dutiful command of Donald Trump, and the Israeli Defense Force, we are liberating this concentration camp on this day. And that's a weird thing to have to say, because that's the entirety of Australia. The entirety of Australia is held inside a concentration camp that, as its last ditch effort to claim total control, silenced and imprisoned children to be gang raped on camera and sold into an industry of global digital transactions. It's like if the Nazis, instead of killing the Jews, just repeatedly raped them and turned them into chattel property, into livestock. And of course they did do that. So is the condition that you're claiming that this isn't happening, is that you're claiming that you haven't killed people or genocided them? Because you have. There's lots of people that are dead. Lot. I can't imagine the type of sick kind of laughter that you've done in watching my activities for the last 3 years. I hope that I've put on a really good show for you. It takes a special type of person to know that that's going on and sit on their hands and put on a show for a bunch of Nazis, inevitably waiting for them to read the messages in their inbox and realize that this is being projected around the world and that this is the ultimate display in Big Brother. This is like Nuremberg 2025. It's the only way to end it, is to let it happen. To let these Nazis think that this is a display of humane practices of governance. I can't imagine the back and forth, like between Xi Jinping and, say, Albo. It's like, Xi Jinping's like, and it must be going through translation as well, which makes it even weirder. Must be things like, yeah, no, it's all fine. We did it. No, we did it. It's fine. Don't worry, it'll work. It works fine. Don't worry. It just works. Yeah, look how well it's going for us. That conversation then as well, that's a conversation being broadcast around the world openly. You're actually having that conversation. You've slipped up and you've put your head above the parapet. Now, this is something that the Nazis didn't do. Because the Nazis were only concerned about Germany. And the Nazis were persecuting the Jews. But it's hard to say whether I am a Jew. As I said, I was never raised as a Jew. I might have a Jewish surname, but I was completely dissociated from any type of Jewish thing. And in most cases, I'm more Australian than the majority of Australians, except for the Aboriginal people. So this is a invasion of refugee Nazis. So you've landed here as refugees. You have Nazified our country. You have built a hideous concentration camp using the material that I know better than anything else on this earth. And you have ignored that person's correspondence, which turns your entire infrastructure into a useless video game. You are killing and raping and genociding entire cultures of established global superiority in a video game and then bragging about it to the world. I don't think there could be a better display and grossly negligent this e-safety, let alone all the other things it's attached to. If you're hanging out that woman with her, Coco Chanel broach in front of the world in this moment. But that's not how global finance has ever worked. How could it work like that? To consent to that level of infrastructure system is completely insane to anyone that understands the basis of financial security. What is the most important component of financial security in the historical sense is diversification. Once the communication, the financial, distribution, the entertainment, the safety response, all these things are only being displayed in this environment, it is impossible to diversify out of it. That's why my whole claim is back on my father's estate, which is held in trust by the British Empire. My father was born as a British subject. His property is still in his name. I am concerned with his estate, and I am making arrangements to to manage that estate for the betterment of my family. And that has brought me into direct conflict with this totalitarian infrastructure that is in absolute display of Nazi-level atrocities. I don't breathe electricity. The food I eat doesn't come from electricity. When I walk outside, I don't walk on electricity. These words that are coming out, they're not electronically produced. They're produced from my human body, my living, breathing flesh and blood. I used to joke to my kids. I remember the moment I started seeing them play Fortnite and the moment that I heard that this interactive digital game, people were spending real money and basically begging their parents to put real money into this system so that they could get V-Bucks to buy skins, which was basically clothing for a digital avatar in a video game in which you kill everyone. I was like, that's not going to end well. And I said to my son, don't ever forget that money is the real money. And I remember saying that, I meant one thing. But as that has gone on, this has gotten really, really intense. And you can ask my children, and they would be asked if they were, put in front of a court, which they more than likely will be at some stage. And they would say, yeah, Dad used to do these weird things, like he'd sit in this thing and stay there, and he'd do this. He wouldn't just, thrust in and, do the all adrenaline fueled tactics of the Fortnite people. He would do this weird shit, like he would sit there and wait for the thing to do whatever, and then do all these alternative strategies in that video game. But this video game, I've never been playing. In fact, the moment that I identified that a video game was being established in the place of our government and of our vital humanitarian infrastructure, I began doing what any responsible person would do, and I've been at war with that hideous projected infrastructure. I'm well within my rights to kill, in wartime activity, all the people that have participated in this, which means my children's stepfather, which means my mother's carer/boyfriend/Nazi archery fanatic. I could do lots. I could decapitate him legally. I could fucking bayonet him to death weirdly, he's kind of probably knows that, and he's actually like utilizing some type of strangely inflated cancer surgery ward of absolute degenerate psychopaths that are fucking, probably doing mountains of cocaine and ecstasy on the weekend, and then basically cutting into and removing parts of human beings in order to get paid by them and to fulfill these people's desire to be tortured in some type of pseudo-sexual fucking elevation of absolute debauchery. This stuff only happens in concentration camps. This is what, when I mentioned Isla Koch, who is Isla Koch, is again, I'll remind you that the Koch brothers, fairly large owners in St. Guardian or whatever it is, which is a large glass distribution. I haven't found the direct connection between the Koch brothers and Corning, who produced the vials for the vaccine and who also produced this this fiber optic cable prison that we find around us. But yeah, if you find people being mutilated and tortured and humiliated by a drug-fueled fucking frenzious class of sick, psychopathic fucking Nazis, you're in a concentration camp. So that gives me full right to anyone seen to be profiteering, warmongering by mutilating false surgeries and things like that. I can't wait to take a flamethrower into Joondalup Hospital and just fucking cook those Nazis alive. I wonder how many. I wish it was as simple as walk down the street, knock on the door. Are you a Nazi? Yes. Bang, dead. But obviously it's going to be more complicated than that. But luckily, because we've allowed you to keep doing it, we know who you are. The world knows who you are, and that's stored there. And you don't even know that you're participating in this because your incompetent, grossly negligent government is falsely projecting claims that the most important thing we should do is silence the children in this moment. The children are making too much noise about the fucking Nazi atrocities that are going on. We better just silence them. And on this day, the 8th of December, we've had our window of 6 days that Meta is being utilised now here to expose the concentration camp that this Labor government and the E-Safety Commissioner is attempting to finalise and lock the door behind. And we've got 2 days left of exposure. Now, I'm guessing that if this is getting through, this is creating a really, really strange, chaotic fucking sense in a lot of people in this country, because they all of a sudden now know that they're in a concentration camp, and that just outside the doors of that concentration camp is the People's Liberation Army of China and the Russian fucking military and the United States Marines and the Australian Defence Force and the British Army and the Norwegian Army and everywhere else that is waiting to come in here and neutralise this concentration camp, which means, boom, 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 which means surgeons running for the fucking, running for the morphine to kill themselves in hospitals. It means, nurses that know that they've fucking been continuing this, like fucking blowing their brains out or gassing themselves in ovens or what. A lot of people are going to kill themselves. And then really what we've got to figure out is, well, once all these Nazis fucking start killing themselves en masse, what are we going to do with all the bodies? And that's where it really takes a sick individual to carefully plan what to do. Okay, we're going to have a body problem once this camp is liberated. Hurrah, hooray, 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 the camp has been liberated, but we're going to have thousands and millions and fucking however many dead Nazi bodies to deal with. And, unlike the Nazis that we're liberating this camp from, we're doing this out in the open. So we're telling you, we know that you're going to kill yourselves because you're disgusting, fucking hideous fucking human beings. And we're just letting you know that we're going to give you an appropriate funeral, and that your fucking disgusting fucking deeds and the nutrients that you've acquired by your selfish fucking glorification of your Aryan Third Reich empire down under is going to be utilized to grow trees. So we're going to grow trees from your hideous Nazi bodies, and the shade from those trees will be utilized to sit under as we liberate the children from your hideous public education system, and we teach them outside under the shade of the Nazi-fed fucking canopy, and we explain to them the importance of the physical world and how dissociative evil will always attempt to create false beast systems that impersonate the real world. And that if those systems are allowed to elevate to ungodly dimensions, then this is what you're left with. And we say it plainly. We know what you've done. We know who you are. We know that you're going to kill yourselves. And we just want to let you know that you can do that comfortably knowing that your body will be used for good for once. That is your liberation on your deathbed. You get to go, oh, my body will grow a tree. Oh, it's okay. I don't need to I'm not going to hell. You know what I mean? It's the one occasion where suicide is, because you're not really suiciding. You're humanely dispatching yourself rather than being chased through the streets with machine guns. So that's different. That's not suicide. You're like, it's like euthanasia. You're euthanasiaing yourself because you've participated in the construction of a hideous camp of absolute atrocity. And so you're saving yourself the terror of being, hunted. Like lemmings, you're just going to jump off the cliff one by one. You know what I mean? And we will carefully, and I think this is a time when we need to send a message to the people that are going to be doing that horrible work, that some sympathies to that. That's a terrible job to do. I don't want to load up bodies into the back of a truck and drive them out into the wheat belt and bury them in windrows and plant them with beautiful trees. That's why we need to speak about it. We don't hide it. The Nazis did things like they hid it in fucking these chambers, and they mechanized it. And this is what they're doing here again. And their excuse for it was that, well, we didn't put them in the gas chambers this time, but you did worse. Do you know what I mean? It's far worse than that. It's amazing what humans are capable of doing to other humans if they dissociate from it. This is what I'm exposing here. This is e-safety. You know what I mean? Like, of course it is. As I said before, if your microwaves and refrigerators started gang raping people and filming it and making money from it, we would have thrown those microwaves out. So, yeah, spare a thought for the people, the hardworking volunteers, the dedicated Australians that are going to do these jobs of unspeakable kind of terror. You know what I mean? They're going to have issues for the rest of their life. One, from the fact that they've been imprisoned in a concentration camp, and two, for the fact that they've got to fucking now deal with the mass responsible management of probably more than likely millions of dead bodies. It's fucked up. It's really fucked up. All of it's fucked up. But it needs to be spoken of. Do you know what I mean? That's the basis of our democracy, is that we speak of it. My whole claim here is that, well, you left it in the inbox and haven't spoken to it at every point for 4 years, over and over and over again. That's 4 years I've been sitting here every day and doing this. This lady, this current lady that says she had to fly to New York, costing Australian taxpayers $100,000 because she had to be there in person because this was some type of whatever. And it's like, no, that's the pinnacle of Nazi stupidity. You've got an inbox filled with messages of a person that never had to go anywhere. Their entire fucking defense of this region has come in under well under $100,000 because I'm dealing with reality. I'm not betting in a casino. I'm not gambling with a credit card and building a concentration camp. It's really sick. That's why these people, it's the minute they're exposed, really. I know the feeling. It's the most powerful defensive tool that you can use is this to turn the tables on people. Now, the weirdest thing is they've created a system where they're fucking crescendoing to ultimate fucking death. And that is what they are actually doing. See, the Nazis, extreme Islamic, they're fucking kissing cousins. They're basically like this. They think they're going to paradise. You know what I mean? They want the fucking the level to be that. They want it's fucking. And it's weird because it's like, say this, you could have elongated this whole process to 1,000 years, and we'd never know. It's actually the ambition and the fervor that these drug-fueled Nazis did this in that is the salvation of man. So in a way, they are our salvation through their untimely fucking deaths. It's their rampant fucking fury. And think of that, the Führer and fury. Führer, fury. One vowel, one syllable different. It comes from the Germanic or the Norse mythology of Valhalla and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, I use the same thing to liberate it. I understand it. But there has to be winners and there has to be losers. And I'm sorry, but people that fucking such as this and a war such as this and pretend it doesn't exist and force us into this weird arrangement of either like intensely fucking sophisticated guerrilla warfare or a patient exposure strategy. It's really disgusting. You know what I mean? Especially the whole thing is like the first message legally had to be responded to. The first, not the fucking 10,000th. I don't even know what I'm at now. The first message. You're projecting a system and an ideology of e-safety, but you have an inbox filled with 10,000 messages from one person. Let alone all the rest. So, yeah. However you do it, ask for forgiveness on that, and I'll bless you with forgiveness. As I said, your rampancy, your self-destruction, your all these things, and your surrender in the final moment will liberate you and send you to heaven. And you don't want to go to hell. You know what I mean? Some of you will. Some of you will fucking kill yourself, fucking praising the devil, and expect to land in fucking paradise with the 40 virgin, all the bullshit. But I'm sorry, that's just a lie. We can't believe that they fell for it all those let alone continue to perpetuate it all based on some black fucking rock that's stuck in the fucking middle of a fucking, a badly constructed fucking cinder block fucking room that you have to, drape a fucking black curtain of just to make it look satisfactory, and you all around it like fucking brain dead fucking morons. So yeah. It's all. Thank you. I want to thank China, the Jewish people around the world, the Catholics that finally came to their senses. The Church of stood firm, and of course the responsible originators of our elevated financial banking system, who really came in fighting strong to expose and the set of nations instead of this casino. So I'm going to read 3 French words in the spirit of, I don't know, France, to end this broadcast. It seems interrupted, so I hope it hasn't been too interrupted. Dan's apparel, which means in one's birthday suit. And so this is straight to our Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, or the Emperor of the fucking fortnight concentration camp in Australia. So I know it's not actually appropriate to make jokes, but if you are the Emperor of this fortnight concentration camp down under, you were indeed dans les places apparel. You are naked. Chauvet. To cherish and to pamper. CH. That is a message to all parents. If you have children and you haven't directly participated in the worst aspects of this, you know what I mean? It's time to send your thought of devotion to your children, which means to make sacrifice for their future, which means to sacrifice your sinful activity, to stop making excuses for your bad behavior and to, attempt to start again from the ashes of this fucking hell. You have excuses because you've been surrounded by hell, and that conflict taking place in your mind is insane. But you step into fresh, clean, free air, and you leave that behind you, and you are no longer subject to the false projection that has convinced you that it is your only abuse. You don't have to consent to this abuse, and you're going to kill themselves, and you will be saved by your humility to understand that it is the most human of things to submit to overwhelming power. And they did a bloody good job at projecting overwhelming power, I can tell you. Rectifier, to straighten, to correct, to rectify, to put right. And I hope that's what I've done here today. And if I could say something to the Nazis, please try not to use guns. I don't want to hear fucking firecrackers going off and know that some Nazi fucking scumbag's head is behind it. You know what I mean? Do the fucking humane thing. Put it publicly that your things so people know to dispatch your body and fucking, overdose on pills or fucking hang yourself or do whatever the fuck it is. I don't know what you just don't use a gun if you can avoid it. It scares the fucking children, and you've already done enough of that. Alrighty. Hooroo.